The Missouri-based lawyer who is representing the QAnon shaman Jacob Chansley has an interesting tactic for defending his client. Earlier, he did an interview with Talking Points Memo, and attorney Albert Watkins says the action of the rioters were compelled to violent criminal acts because of Donald Trump's election lies. You've heard this before, the Trump defense. He also believes the rioters were carrying out the former president's will. Now, Watkins' comments come before that came controversially after he referred to the rioters as short bus people as well. He also added that these are people with brain damage. He went on to reference them as he has over 150 hours of video from inside the Capitol that day as well that the government does not want you to see. So let's talk about this more and welcome in the attorney for the self-described QAnon shaman, Jacob Chansley. His attorney, who you see on the screen here, is Albert Watkins. Great to have you with us, Mr. Watkins.
Thank you very much for having me.
So first I want to talk about this video that you told me you possess, about 150 hours worth. They have chosen to release some of the surveillance footage, and we played the video from American Greatness, the website, earlier this week about your client kind of coordinating with Capitol Police. Tell us about this video and what we would see if this were released by the government.
Well, the video very clearly depicts a high-ranking member of the Capitol Police force. He's an inspector. We provided the video. We gave it to the government. We made it very clear as part of this longer video what this meant, and then made sure we put it together in a fashion that permitted them to hear the words of the Capitol Police inspector, who said, "You have permission to enter the Senate or the Capitol, provided you are peaceful." So what you have is not only a large number of supporters of Donald Trump allowed to walk into the Capitol with doors held open and with police, in many cases, one we have a video of that we provided to the government, showing the police literally encouraging people in and waving them in. But the one video that's most important is the one of the Capitol Police Department inspector granting permission to those that were present to enter the Capitol as long as they did so peacefully.
Now, we've also seen video released by the FBI this week where it does clearly show people being very violent with Capitol Police. But when you hear about the criminal charges against these suspects, they're all lumped into the same category. Everyone can go on the DOJ's website and see the criminal charges for themselves. You're saying there are different classes of Capitol rioters, essentially, correct?
Yeah, I have been espousing since day one that you cannot lump all those who appeared under one moniker. The lion's share, the overwhelming lion's share of those people who appeared at the Capitol did so at the special instance and request of their president.
And clearly, the federal government has not found any evidence yet that would support a charge of sedition. There are no sedition charges yet as associated with this particular incident.
No, and in fact, they never will. The video that you would see on CNN on January 6th or some of the other media that appears to be trending so far left, they're off the charts. All you saw was the one-dimensional close-in footage that demonstrated that, in fact, yes, there were people that were violent. There were people that were destructive. Yes, there were people with nefarious motives, but that was, in a very one-dimensional way, a very, very small percentage of those who appeared at the Capitol. They were there to support their president. They were there to peacefully protest. They were there to be Americans supportive of the proposition that they had a right to object to what they, with every fiber in their body, felt to be a compromised integrity associated with our election.
Now, I want to ask you, too, you made those pretty, offensive remarks, I think, to a lot of people about your client. Yes, you told me that was, a calculated move to draw attention to this issue. The other thing, too, is you say that, President Trump subjected these people to propaganda for 4 years. You know, that sounds a bit like the John Hinckley, Jodie Foster made me do it defense to some people.
Yeah, and so one of the things that was very calculated here was to make very clear and pointed that the government, as it stands right now, doing what it's doing, can't have it both ways. You can't say these people are crazy, and that's what was said. And then they say, oh, by the way, we're gonna prosecute President Trump for inciting these people. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to prosecute these people, but let's just throw all that aside because they're sending a stupid message out. They're sending a message out that you don't have the right to believe your president and you don't have the right to do what your president says. That's wrong. That's not a good message. But more importantly, you can't have the government taking people that the government is prosecuting that have no criminal history at all, that the government cannot show, demonstrate, or even keep a straight face to assert they were violent. You can't take them and put them in solitary confinement indefinitely with 133 days.
It does seem like, Mr. Watkins, when you look at how John Hinckley Jr. was treated with his obviously mental defects here, he was treated better, considering he shot the president in some ways, and some of these suspects here are charged with much lesser crimes initially. We are out of time, unfortunately, Mr. Watkins, but I'd love to have you back. Fascinating stuff as well. I do have some questions for you about your Trump defense as well, but we'll talk about that at another time. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
All right, coming back. It's Friday again, so we have the week that was here. We're going to talk about General Patton and what would he have to say about all this wokeness inside the military. We have special guest Robert Orlando, who's a Patton expert. Also, our good friend Craig Shirley will join us after the commercial break.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.